Hello everyone, it's Elizabeth here, and today I want to be talking about things that you can do to mitigate risk. We talk about risk mitigation plans and risk management as a process and all that stuff, but actually what does it mean when we mitigate? What does mitigating actions actually look like? And that's what I want to talk about today. And I've got 5 things that you can do that will help you mitigate your risks in a more practical, tangible way. Starting with, as you can see, down there, good project management. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but being good at what we do is the number one thing that you can do in order to mitigate against risk. Risk is going to happen. We know that, but the better we are at managing and controlling our environment, looking at data, making smart decisions, all that kind of stuff, the easier it will be for the team and for the success of the project too. So good project management practices are the fundamental benchmark, however you want to call it, starting block of being able to mitigate your risk effectively. The second thing you can do is to look at your written agreements. And here I'm talking about contracts, statement of work, documents, master service agreements, things that you would have with third-party suppliers, or perhaps terms of reference within your organization if you are contracting, working with other colleagues across the business. That could be something you could look into. And written agreements are helpful for mitigating risk because they are very clear. They should be very clear. They set out exactly what it is that you're going to do or what you're expecting the other person to deliver. And because of that level of conversation involved in putting those documents together, you're actually mitigating the risk by just having open conversations, trying to resolve conflict before it started, and using that information codified in your written agreements to help make the project smoother as you move forward. The third thing we're going to look at is another written thing, checklists and processes. The more that you can document and streamline, the more likely it is that people will be able to carry out their duties without making human error, mistakes. Mistakes are inevitable. I know I've made plenty in my career. It's something that's just going to happen. So we're not worried about them particularly, but if we can manage them out of our project management practice by using checklists and processes, then that will help. And it will also help the more junior members of your team as well. So mitigating risk across the project in terms of stopping new risks from happening will come from being able to make fewer mistakes. Checklists are great because you can step by step list everything out that needs to happen for a particular activity. Written processes are great. Often I think as experienced project managers, we hold all that information in our heads, which makes it unnecessary really to go to a process document. But knowing it's there gives you the opportunity to refresh yourself, train others, audit each other, create that kind of culture of peer support within your project management community in your business so that you can check those things are happening. It's a risk mitigation factor because when things are repeatable and standard, they will be carried out in a repeatable and standardized way. And that should mitigate risk because people are not making mistakes. Sounds simple when I say it like that. All right, the fourth thing we're looking at is having a contingency plan. Now, a contingency plan is kind of the fundamentals of risk mitigation, really, because it's all about what do we do when things go wrong. But what I have found is the act of talking about our contingency plan makes it less likely that we will ever need to invoke it. Because as you're talking about the things that might need to happen, you're also really thinking deeply about this particular risk or the situation that might have to happen before the risk is created, before the risk is realized. And because you're putting that much level of thought and detail into considering the future, it will flag up a few things that you can do now that will really make a difference going forward. And because people are aware the risk is likely and they are thinking about what they would do if it does happen, they're also consciously or subconsciously thinking about what they could be doing differently now so the risk doesn't happen, or if it does happen, that it's smaller. So just having conversations and coming up with a contingency plan reduces the likelihood that you'll ever need to use it. Pretty good, huh? All right, and finally, our fifth one, working together. Empowering your team to make decisions, be effective, collaborate is a really good, powerful thing you can do to mitigate risk, because the more we communicate, the more we work together, the more likely it is we'll identify things early, so the risks are smaller. And if we don't identify a risk, then perhaps we are stopping risks from happening by checking each other's work. So when I'm talking about peer working, I can use the example of peer programming, but you could also do something simple like, colleague at the next desk, can you read this email before I send it to all my stakeholders? Or can you double check my maths on this spreadsheet? Run the formula, run the report. Do you understand what it's saying? That kind of level of just gentle interactions with each other will help you work together more effectively and reduce some of the errors, miscommunication, things that sometimes can make risks worse or lead to new risks happening in the first place. All right, so that's been 5 different things that you can do to mitigate risk on your project. Good project management practice, having written agreements, using checklists and processes, creating contingency plans, and peer working together with each other. Hopefully that's been useful. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.